sort of...
No, I'm not going to go for the Ebisu just yet. I'm going to go actually to the Kirin, because Kirin is the next most, I would say, most common beer in Japan. After Asahi, I would say, it would kind of like, when it comes to common beers that most people drink, I would almost say like Asahi, just to go back a bit, is kind of like the Budweiser of Japan. Would you agree?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like almost many places, whenever they have catered events or whatever, it's often Asahi because they have great marketing.
Yes, very much. I mean, it's powerful.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
And so that's why you often see Asahi everywhere. Now, I say the second most popular, most common beer would be Kirin. So many bars, izakayas, whatever, carry Kirin. Before I found Sapporo, I was drinking Kirins.
Right.
I like Kirin. So, again, from the ranking, I would put Sapporo kind of more towards the top.
Right.
Kirin, Asahi.
Yeah.
Oh, now this one is not the regular Kirin. This is the black one.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I don't drink dark beers, so this is going to be a bit of a learning journey for me.
I'm sitting here with a beer racist. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen.
Open my mind, Dave.
All right.
Good.
All right.
Have a grape.
Oh, Jesus.
You animal.
How the hell? It's been sitting there for God knows how long, and it's still like...
It's potent.
Okay, yeah, maybe so. But the logo of Kirin is very interesting. Kirin comes from the Chinese. I don't know how to pronounce the word. I'll just put the word on the screen.
It was Qilin.
Yeah.
Wasn't it, in Roman letters, I think.
It's just that Kirin, some people like equate to the word giraffe.
Yeah, because they call giraffe Kirin, and I'm not sure what that connection is. I'd really like to know.
Well, you have to wonder, like...
Let's look, this is not a giraffe.
No, not even close.
If you saw that, you'd be...
It doesn't have long legs. It doesn't have a long neck.
Yeah.
So it is very un-giraffe as you can get.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure what that is.
Yeah. But Kirin is like a mythical creature. Did you ever see the Keanu Reeves movie 47 Ronin?
Didn't get around to it, no.
No, you didn't miss anything.
Okay. Good to know,
Here.
oh, yes, of course, yeah. Cheers.
Oh, that's right. I was going to talk about Gaijin stuff, but we'll get back to that in a moment. Anyway, we're on the Kirin thing. Yeah, we're going to dip in and out subjects, so don't expect a logical narrative here.
Yeah, like, also, you said to me very, very plainly, eat before we start doing this.
Yes.
Full disclosure, I did not.
Ooh, this would be very interesting.
Yeah, this won't help you get subscribers.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way. But, yeah.
Oh, no. Your buttery British accent will,
Oh.
I mean, maybe...
Another, like, how would you like me to react as well? Like, because I can do sort of the on-brand British, like, complete disinterest.
Yeah.
We'll call it 0%.
Yeah.
And, like, at 50%, we could have, like, a normal human reaction.
Or you could like, for the American audience who grew up on things like Mary Poppins or whatever, you go, God blimey, sir!
Yeah, that's approaching the NHK reaction.
Yes.
Yeah, like I can go.
Can you do? Oh, yeah, well, that'd be even. Oh, yes. Japanese
Do you want to
television.
make noises? Yeah, like I could do that, but I'm. Well, I put it on the menu. I'm not going to do it.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, Kirin. God. So I mentioned Keanu Reeves. It's funny. I say Keanu Reeves. It's like he starred in it, but it's not his movie. And I just want to put that as a disclaimer because a lot of times actors get blamed for movies and characters, and it's like they didn't write it.
I mean, half the time the way it works with agents and studios and stuff is like they have to take a dive and do that thing so they can do the thing they want to do.
And I don't want to diss Keanu because he sounds like he's a really nice guy.
He's awesome.
But the movie sucks.
Was it that bad?
Oh, God. I have a video about my review of that movie. It's so off the wall. And the reason I bring up the Kirin is because the movie opens with a samurai hunting party hunting a Kirin.
Who does it?
Hunting the Kirin. And the problem with that, even though it was supposed to be, the movie's setting is supposed to be sword and sword and sorcery,
Right.
that kind of thing. So it would have been fine if they introduced yokai. Yokai are Japanese creatures.
Folklore creatures. I
Yeah,
think, is
folklore
a good way to do
creatures.
it.
But that's what a yokai is. So it's an ongoing, urban folklore kind of thing. But Kirin doesn't really fit into that.
Yeah.
Coming from China, it's more of a mythological beast. More for usually it appears for auspicious reasons or things like that. But in the movie 47 Ronin, they were treating it as a monster that they had to hunt down. And when I was watching the movie the first time, I didn't know it was a Kirin because it was so unrecognizable.
Oh, really?
And I was just watching, what the hell is this?
It's a weird one to choose, isn't it?
Yes.
How beautiful.
But my thinking is the writer, directors, whatever, they did a 2-week vacation in Japan, got a Kirin beer and went, hey, what is this? Oh, is that right? Hey, let's put it in my movie.
It's in the script, Marky. Like, yeah, right. Okay.
But they put it in the movie thinking that Japanese people would go
resonate with that in some way, yeah.
It bombed.
Because there's some like mad creatures.
Bombed.
Yeah, there's mad creatures you could actually choose, which would be like, you could do like a Witcher kind of thing.
Well, they did okay with the Tengu. They did have the Tengu.
Oh, cool.
So
Tengu are awesome.
Keanu Reeves' character was supposed to be raised by them.
Oh.
That I thought was okay.
Yeah. Because Tengu do have a history of teaching advanced sword fighting techniques to mortals.
Yes.
I think that's a thing that comes
yes,
up,
you're very much correct. One of the famous heroes of the 12th century, Minamoto no Yoshitsune, was allegedly trained by them.
Right.
And so they did have that, and that I thought went okay, explaining Keanu's character's abilities. Yeah. But the Kirin at the beginning of the movie is...
That's weird. Did it start with, hey, wake up, samurai. We got a Kirin to kill.
But see, the thing is the 47 Ronin. Do you know the story of the 47 Ronin?
I know of it. Yeah,
okay.
I wouldn't say... Yeah, I think I saw... Is it Kurosawa, isn't it? Is it not? No.
Strangely enough, Kurosawa never did one. Yeah,
right.
Probably because it's been done so many times. And there was a 1950s one done, and then one in 1962. His favorite actor up until the 80s, I forget what happened. They had a falling out, but Toshiro Mifune.
The guy who got the arrows and that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why they had the falling out.
No. That was early days.
Was it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they patched up after that?
Yeah.
Because he was pissed off.
Was he? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we're talking about Throne of Bloods, where the ending scene, Toshiro Mifune has all these arrows shot at him, and they were actual arrows.
It's genuine fear in his face. Yeah. He was very angry
because
about
of
that.
any mistake, it could have either killed him or at least injured him.
Fa-dong, 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 and he's going like, what is going on? Yeah.
It's like, no, they're trained archers. It's like,
don't care, mate. Don't care how well they're trained.
You say that.
Yeah, they could be trained by Tengu for all I fucking care.
The 1962 version of the 47 Ronin is one of the most definitive versions of that. And Toshiro Mifune plays a bit character, actually, surprisingly enough. It's called Chusungura. And the thing about the 47 Ronin, I would say the main story of the 47 Ronin is the retainer. He avenged the death of his master.
Right.
But he had to pretend he wasn't going to avenge the death of his master. And he pretended to live a life of debauchery for about a year and a half.
Right.
And that is the crux of the story of the 47 Ronin.
So
is the duplicity. Oh, yeah. And so like a lot of like, especially traditional Japanese stories, cinema, is about the complexity of plotting and so on. So people, especially in the past, they loved that story of his pretending to have given up on avenging his master. His master was Asano Naganori. He was sent to Tokyo, Edo, as it was called back then, to be part of an welcoming of imperial messengers is that he had to be trained in how to meet them properly.
The etiquette was insane.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why the shogun had a master of court etiquette.
Right.
And so whenever this thing happened every year, the master of etiquette would tutor the whatever lords were chosen to meet the envoys this particular year. And in 1701, it was Asano Naganori. But the master of court ceremony expected, according to the story, expected bribes. Well, I say bribes, gifts.
Tributaries.
Yes, for his services. But apparently he didn't do it.
Right.
And the master of court ceremony was just treating him very badly, insulting him, until Asano could not take it any longer, attacked him with his short sword. So Asano had to commit seppuku, but also his family was dispossessed of their land. And what that meant was all of his retainers were suddenly unemployed. That's where the name Ronin, or Roshi, it means unemployed.
Right.
Samurai, of the samurai class.
Right.
Whatever. I mean, I don't want to go into the whole detail because that's confusing. Samurai, bushi, whatever. They were now unemployed. And of that group, 47 of them decided to take revenge against the master of court ceremony.
Did they not have anything? Was it because they were unemployed? They had nothing better to do.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Just to confirm.
Well, at that time, this was.
I guess you can just apply for another clan or something.
I remember when I said like Japan was closed.
Yeah.
Another thing about that is in the 1500s, one reason why the Spanish and Portuguese were so welcomed was because they brought in guns.
Right.
It wasn't the Christianity.
Right.
Christianity was just like, okay, we'll take your Christianity, but we really want the guns because they were fighting amongst themselves. It was the Sengoku period, the Warring States period. They were fighting for supremacy, the different clans, the different provinces.
Right.
But by 1701, it had all been unified under the shogun, the military dictator of the country. You see, whereas in the 1500s, if you were an unemployed samurai,
Right.
it was a bit more easier to find a job because somebody was always looking for a soldier.
Right.
Because they were always fighting.
Right.
But in 1701, there was no wars. And so if you were an unemployed samurai, you were practically useless.
Right.
But anyway, so 47 Ronin. Crappy movie. But the beer.
No, I didn't hate it, and I thought I would. It's actually quite nice.
Well, I hope so, because the next one is also a dark beer.
Oh wow.
This is Ebisu, even though it has a Y in front of it.
Yeah, I was going to address that. Do you want to hit that or?
It's more your.
Okay, yeah. So there is actually like a hiragana character for ye, which is not you. So you'll see like the two major words are going to be yen and yebis, basically, and it's like and you'll see like there's the Ebis station as well, which would have been originally Yebis station. So you got this kanji. It's like it's hiragana for the ye, which still exists. I think. It's probably still typable on machines, I think, but it's not really part of the language anymore. So yeah, yen in Japanese is pronounced en, sen-en, not sen-yen. And like my theory on it is, this is a pet theory, but like for example, London, generally they don't pronounce their H's. Things kind of sort of homogenized towards Edo. And I think that actually the dropping of the ye and saying instead.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because Edo was also with a Y.
Oh, was it really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay, right.
Sometimes old spellings of it looks like Yedo.
Oh, interesting. Right. Yeah, so I think pet theory. Oh goodness, I'm so sorry. Tippy.
Okay.
Good. My sort of theory on it is that actually like the Edo dialects kind of dropped the ye, and that's why it came out of common usage.
That's another thing with Japan. Like there are numerous dialects, but most specifically like Kanto dialect and Kansai, or what they call Kansai Ben. But it's interesting that we had this discussion in my other beer video in Nipori that in some ways what became standardized Japanese, we think of that as the Tokyo dialect. But it actually was the people that had been living in Tokyo had their own way of speaking, and many of them were like working class people. You had during the closed off period of Japan, from 1630s to 1860 or 1850s, you had a system that was developed where the Lord, I mentioned about the 47 Ronin Asano. One reason that he was in Edo,
right,
is there was the thing of the alternate attendance. Every other year, a lord had to come to Tokyo, or Edo, as they called it back then. It was an idea of keeping them in place so they couldn't rebel. Because one of the things we have to remember, one reason why the country was closed off is because they had gone through over 100 years of the warring states period, Sengoku period. The centralized authority had broken down.
Right.
And the lords of the different places were fighting amongst each other for so long. So there was a lot of treachery, and so on. The winners at the very end was the Tokugawa clan. So they wanted to keep things tapped down. They didn't want to go back to the Sengoku period because they knew if it hit the fan, they were done for. So the Tokugawa wanted to keep things under control. So, and that's why the Christians were so persecuted, because they saw them as an outside element that could turn lords within the country against them. So they're like, no, that's why
they control us.
Yeah. Some people try to present it as just a spiritual thing, like, we reject Christianity. It's like, no, we reject Christianity because it comes with the Jesuits, which comes with the Spanish imperialism.
During that time period, there's no way you could separate religion from politics.
God, no. And so that's why they were constantly on the lookout for anything that could upset the balance. They wanted to keep control of the country, and so part of that was the alternate attendance, where so a lord of a domain would come to Edo and stay there for, I think, like 6 months, maybe to a year. Ebisu was one of those.
It's up here,
Yeah, the Ebisu, along with the Kirin, were produced in Tokyo originally. Now I believe Ebisu is part of the Sapporo.
Oh, is it really? Right.
I believe so. Yeah. Off the top of my head, I'm getting drunk now. But it does say Ebisu in Tokyo. I think it belonged, because the companies changed and they merged and then broke up, and it gets very confusing. But originally, they started in Tokyo, as their own company. So, what do you think about this dark?
I'm gonna go with Kirin's better for the dark. I would say. I think, or maybe I didn't clean my palate properly, but it's
well, we haven't cleaned the glasses either. We're not really standing on
there's
ceremony.
But for me, like that has like kind of like a much nicer, kind of warmer aftertaste. I'd say, this one feels a little more shallow, but that might just because I had that one first.
Yeah, I would definitely say I like the Kirin dark more. Yeah,
I'm drawn.
The Ebisu is okay, but it's a lighter.
It's not killing me. It's not the worst thing ever.
Oh, now I should point out, like, the logo is a Shinto god.
Yeah, this is like a fortune thing, isn't it? It's a god.
He's one of the
seven. Fortune.
He's one of the 7 lucky gods.
Ah, yes. Okay, that was it. Yeah.
Shichin, Fukujin, something like that.
That's right.
But he predates even that concept. Like, you can find him mentioned in the Kojiki and Nihon Shoki.
Right.
You've read those, I assume.
Extensively.
Exactly. The Nihon Shoki, Kojiki, these were ancient records that were compiled in the 7th and 8th century. And Ebisu is mentioned as being one of the childs of Izanagi and Izanami no Mikoto. They were the gods who go to the heavenly bridge with the heavenly spear and create Japan.
Yeah, I read this stuff like 13 years ago. Yes, this is all ringing a bell.
And they did it with the spear. Now, I mention this because in Last Samurai, which is an okay movie, I actually quite enjoy it. In Last Samurai, at the beginning of the movie, the narrator says, they say Japan was created by a sword dipped into the ocean and something like that.
Spear.
It was a spear. The actual religious text. The reason I mention that is because I did a video ages and ages ago about spear
Spall,
fighting.
wasn't it?
And I just kind of mentioned in the subtitles that Japan was formed by a spear because I was trying to show how important spears were.
Right.
And people, because they were coming from both, like, their katana love and Last Samurai, like, no, it wasn't. It was created by a sword.
Because I heard that in a
Hollywood
Tom Cruise
movie. Yeah,
Jolly
it's
good.
like,
yeah, well done.
No, it was a spear. It was a spear.
Yeah, spears were like much more important.
Oh God, yeah.
Generally, like.
Well,
actually,
there's a samurai warlord, Asahi. Shit, I can't remember that. He was a lord of Ichigo.
Yeah.
Asakura, something like that. He once made the comment like how 100, like a sword that's worth 100, whatever that may be at that time, can be overcome by a group of spears that are only worth 10.
Right.
And he was trying to say, like, don't put so much value in a sword.
Right. I mean, if you're fighting in a city and there's streets.
Yeah.
Narrow streets of that.
Well, usually cities
totally
have streets.
Usually they do. Traditionally. You can see how a sword was useful. But then...
Yeah, close combat, that kind of thing. Yeah.
You can see how a spear might not be useful. But like in open field and stuff like that,
yeah.
being able to keep anything at that distance is going to be much better.
Yeah,
Yeah. You don't have to withdraw with your step. You can withdraw with the spear much more.
And just the very like the fact that you can just go like that from a distance.
Yeah.
Whereas a sword, you got to get in close.
Yeah. I used to do battle reenactment when I was very young, and it was like the spear work was. If you sword against spear was a really tough gig.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like because you got to get past that point.
Not that the movies ever show that.
No.
The swordsman always beats a spearman in movies.
Oh yeah, totally.
But in your experience,
yeah, it's like if you need to get past that point of the spear. So the guy's kind of like he's got a lot of reach with it. Like he's like this hand's loose, and it's like spear's coming out. Like he's changing that, and also you can step. So like for you that. The spear bit's moving about a lot. The spearhead is moving about a lot. So you need to get past that. You need to get past that and do your thing.
Yeah.
But it's very hard to get past that. So that's you can go.
If you were a betting man,
Yeah.
who would you bet on?
Spear.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely spear. The other thing is you can hold a knife with the spear. So if they do get past that, you've also got like a defense of doing them in.
It's like I'm past the spear. Yeah.
And that's kind of like a Viking kind of medieval thing. I think the Romans might have done that as well. Like, like the spear guys had like a sidearm as well. Should the person get past the point,
It's just, with popular media has so, put especially the katana. At such a high level. And part of that is, I would say some of that is from, or a good bit of that begins like with kabuki.
Yeah.
Because it's a stage, and swords are just a lot easier to kind of, play around with on a stage.
Oh goodness, yeah.
Than a spear, and especially like in a kind of also in a dojo situation.
Yeah.
The sword, whether it be bamboo or whatnot, it's just a lot easier.
Yeah.
To kind of play around with, but I think the same thing. Like you could say, like the swords, like Shakespeare, theater, Globe Theater. It was a lot easier to have your characters wielding swords than it was spears.
Yeah, and I think you can just you can sort of like slash behind them if the audience is there.
Yeah.
And the person falls down, it kind of looks all right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the same.
Well, and also like you think about this, like going like to Shakespeare, like it looks much more exciting when people are fighting with a sword because you get the whole clash. Whereas a spear, it'd be over pretty quick. But Ebis, going back to Ebis, the god. He always has a fish and a fishing rod, so he's like often seen as a symbol of success.
He's got a big bloody fish there.
Yes.
So, and he's fat, which is pretty good for the time. Yeah.
Ebis is often paired up with Daikoku, who is also a god of wealth. He has a hammer that supposedly will give you whatever you want, and he has bags of rice, which in the old times, rice was a measure of wealth.
Right.
Now, speaking of Ebis and Daikoku,
right,
that brings us to Premium Malt Suntory. Make it Suntory time, but that's whiskey. This is their beer, and I got this one especially because the logo is the 7 lucky gods.
It's rather nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
I quite like that.
That's one of the reasons I thought about doing this video. I just liked this particular beer design. That's sometimes what's kind of cool in Japan is you'll find like beer with all kinds of neat little designs on it, very traditional. So it has the 7 lucky gods. I'm not going to go on to them now, but you can look them up.
It's a variety of hats and foreheads, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is one of the things I really like about Japan, is, people, in the past, in the 90s and stuff, people were very kind of like, is Japan going to Americanize? Is it going to, Americanize or globalize or modernize? And, but like Japan has such a strong culture.
Yeah.
And it's like, when it comes to like, there's going to be Hanabi or Hanami, whichever you like, there's going to be fireworks.
Well, Hanami is the cherry blossom viewing.
That's the cherry blossom viewing,
and
yeah.
Hanabi is the fireworks.
Right, but in either occasion, people are going to wear their nice gear. They're going to wear geta. They're going to wear like their yukata. Yeah. They're going to have, and it's like that part of Japan is invincible. Oh, I'm sorry, I did it again. I forgot because I was talking. But I like how invincible
we still got
that
4
is.
more beers to go.
So I'm gone, right. We're like halfway through. I like how invincible it is.
Oh yeah. Like it very much pervades through everyday culture. The fact that here we have like a beer can.
Yeah.
That if you were visiting Japan.
Yeah.
This would be like, what the? It'd be an amazing souvenir.
Who are these guys? What's going on here?
Yeah, it's a very cool thing that I'm just like, I'm so impressed that they would put the 7 lucky gods.
Right.
People, around New Year's, will go on pilgrimages to the shrines and temples that are associated with them in different parts of Japan, but also in Tokyo. There are several places where you can do a pilgrimage to the 7 shrines and temples for good luck.
Sorry, Prost.
Yes.
I already drank something.
I don't think we did for the last one, but whatever.
We're doing well.
Yeah. We're still conscious.
It's been a long journey, Dave. Yeah. But
now, what about premium malts? Can you said like you've had some interesting interactions with them.
Yeah, so like talking to people at Suntory, like one of the things that I think's really interesting about the beer companies is like, and you mentioned Suntory whiskey, which ties into this.
Yes.
Like, they are pretty much a stalemate.
Stalemate.
Yeah, as in like, in terms of gaining ground for the izakayas, for the bars, and that type of thing. Like in terms of sales, it's very hard to expand their brand. So what all of these beer companies have is amazing kind of big data, and that's where it's at. Like they know, because they supply the beer, they know exactly where all of the bars are. They know exactly what their sales are like, and they have like a very interesting like financial model of that. Like the entertainment sector of Tokyo is the GDP of a lot of countries. What they have, which is really valuable for other companies, is this kind of like really working model of the finance and the entertainment industry economy of Tokyo. So they know all of the places, they have insights, they have like ways of interpreting this data and then helping other companies to kind of get on board with it. That's where it's kind of gone with them. Another really interesting thing I found out is like the whole, when I moved to Japan, they were talking about highball a lot, whiskey highball.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't. Those are a bit rough for me.
Yeah. I've never been into them. Never been into them.
Like, I don't mind the Chuhai. Chuhai is like the like the basically alcoholic soda.
Right. But
whiskey highballs a bit.
Yeah, the reason that was introduced, and it was a campaign from Suntory, side, was to just gain the edge, basically, because they were completely stalemate on the beers. So they were like, well, what if people don't want to drink beer? There's a limited menu, so they kind of expanded the menu to include highballs. So when I got it, I was like highballs is seemed like a really old-fashioned term to me. Like I sort of assumed that
I kind of get confused. When I first saw highball, I thought it meant 8 ball, and I thought, isn't that what killed River Phoenix?
That means heroin, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's like, like 8 Ball is like, some major stuff that...
Lemon sour and a bit of heroin. That was basically sort of their marketing. I assumed, like, there's many things in Japan, like spam, for example, which are kind of like fossils from World War II, do you know? From the American occupation, you know. I assumed that they were introduced to sort of highballs with, hey, hello, Johnny, we're all Pan-Atlantic here. Would you like a highball? And this is jazz. I thought it was that sort of thing, and it sort of stayed around. I didn't realize it was something that had been introduced actually probably a year before it came to Japan to kind of like just gain some ground.
Yeah, I never even noticed that because I was here before that. I never even noticed it.
Because... You find in Japanese bars that you don't have a choice. You don't have usually. It does happen, but you don't usually have like Ebis and Kirin and Asahi on tap. There's usually one supplier of beer.
That's a good point. Yeah,
like in the British pub, you'll have the full fucking range. Sorry, but beep that out later. But like in Japan, it's usually you have your beer supplier. Yeah, which goes through a distribution company, which is a Kirin distribution company, named kind of one. So like actually, it's really impossible to flip somewhere. It's impossible for like Ebis to go in and be like, we want to flip this place and we want to make this place which was Kirin, we want to make that Ebis, or like a place called Suntory and stuff. So like the way to get around that was to kind of introduce other drinks. The other thing I thought was really interesting about Suntory is like they started as a whiskey company, as you pointed out. Like their first product apparently wasn't whiskey. It was akdama. Have you ever had akdama before?
No.
I tried to get it earlier for today to demonstrate, but they didn't have any in stock.
Yeah, like we could always use more alcohol.
We can find stock footage of it. It's a very sweet wine. Okay. I would like compare it maybe to like sherry or something like that. And what that was, it was the guy he wanted to make whiskey apparently. The Suntory bloke whose name I don't remember, but he couldn't get funding for it. Now at the time it was Meiji Ishin. It was the Meiji period. Yeah. And there was a lot of wine being thrown around, and Japanese people didn't really like the wine, actually. So what he did is he created this akadama thing, which is like very nomiyasui sweet wine. It looks exactly like wine, and that sold very well, and apparently that gave him the funding to start doing the whiskey stuff, and then which eventually went into the beer stuff later on.